We're on the historic Rutherford Bench in the Napa Valley of California, where they've been growing grapes since the 1850s. So even in this modern day, we're starting to develop quite a tradition. These particular wonderful old vines are over 40 years old, which is pretty old for California Cabernet in the Napa Valley. It's really amazing right now. You've got a Cabernet vineyard that is almost entirely in bloom, and it's early, so we're by about 3 weeks. In the last less than a month, all of this has grown, so you're talking 1 or 2 inches of growth a day. And now what's happening is that these clusters, which start out looking like this, can you get that up close? Start out looking like that, then burst open, and each little cluster, each little berry has its own, berry to be, has its own flower. And each of these little flowers will set up a berry, and then you have a cluster of grapes. What we're trying to do at this point, it's in bloom, what we're trying to do is set up the culture of the canopy for grape production. And so we're doing a couple of things. One, we're sorting out and separating out all of the shoots, all of the growth. And the reason for doing that is to, one, get more air into the vine, and even more importantly, more sunlight onto the morning sun side of the fruit. So another thing that we can do in this particular area is we can take off the laterals. So you can see this growing right here. This whole essentially branch or shoot doesn't need to be there. If we let this just grow, not only would it shield and shelter and obscure this cluster, but it would also try to be a hogarina and try to develop its own, in time, develop its own cluster. And then what do you do then with more cluster development and more production? Then you really are decreasing the quality of the fruit. So the fruit at hand is that problem is quickly solved by just doing that. So right now they're building leaf material to be able to photosynthesize, to be able to make sugar in the fruit down the line. But that's about 2 months away now. So right now we have bloom and then set and then continuing growth, and all of a sudden late June, July, the vines will be flipping an internal switch and devoting the energy to ripening the fruit. And at that point, the fruit starts to get soft, starts to get sweet. The red grapes start to color up. And within a couple of months, then you're ready to harvest. So we're getting there. I mean, this is what's pretty cool.
So Julie, at this stage in the game, if something happens and you get a huge rainstorm, how will that impact the crops, or will it?
Not a lot. What we don't want right now is we don't want a lot of wind, and we don't want hail, because that would could knock off clusters, could knock off berries, could damage berries.
I got to imagine when you come out here and see them in bloom for the first time, it's a little bit like Christmas morning for Winemaker. You get real excited.
Oh, well, just the whole idea of bud break. I mean, we come out and celebrate bud break just because it's, you might as well be doing a little dance to Old Mother West Wind, because the whole cycle is starting again. The vines have been picked, they've been pruned severely. These vines have been basically eviscerated. They're down to nothing. 2 buds for each spur of position. And now what you see then is just this rebirth of the whole vine.
Of course, you do things uniquely here at Tres Sabores, but around the world, they're kind of doing winemaking in the same process.
Historically, it hasn't changed. We were just in the historic 100 AD Roman wine cellar in Barcelona that they've excavated. Basically the same idea, and that's what's so cool. People loved wine, actually needed wine it was the most hygienic beverage at that time. And so they not only loved wine, they needed wine. They added all sorts of interesting things to it. They added honey to it. They added herbs to it. We're quite a bit more purist than that. This is 100%. I've got to do everything I can as a winemaker to keep it as close to 100% as I can. it's not only not mucking it up, it's just trying to capture everything that the vine is giving us and capturing that in the bottle. And hopefully when it pours out in somebody's glass and they're in the company of good friends with really good food on the table, it just conveys the sense of, you were here, May 2013, you know, to get this grape into that bottle, and it's a fine thing.